The Young and the Restless preview for the week of September 8th reveals Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott will arrive at an empty venue for the launch party. Also coming up, Daniel Romalotti will share another close moment with Tessa Porter. Plus, Claire Newman will put the pressure on Holden Novak. Y&R spoilers tease Daniel, and Tessa will meet at Chancellor Park for guitar lessons, as usual. They'll work on the song that he plans to play for Danny Romalotti. Tessa will tell Daniel she can't wait to see how proud his dad's going to be when he plays his first song for him. "But you came up with the lyrics and the melody, and you took those chords and you made it into something beautiful," he replies in the Y&R Weekly Preview. "Just like you." Meanwhile, Holden will tell Claire about, "If you knew the truth about what happened," he'll reply, "I'm afraid that it might change the way that you see me." But what did happen in LA with Holden and Audra? Finally, Sally and Billy will head inside society's front door. "Ladies and gentlemen," Billy will say, "the guests have arrived and the party." But he and Sally will stop dead in their tracks. She'll say the place is supposed to be decked out, and will wonder where everyone is. "Hey guys," Kane Ashby will say, as he sits down at the bar, drink in hand. "I'm glad you both made it. I was starting to get worried." So, what did Kane do? Hey, Y&R fans, are you enjoying the new CBS Sudser Beyond the Gates? Then make sure you join our free Facebook group. Keep reading the Soap Scoop for Young and the Restless spoilers and news. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless scoop for Friday, September 5th reveals Victor Newman will tell Michael Baldwin to take the job with Kane Ashby. Also coming up, Victor will share his war plan with Nick Newman, Adam Newman, and Victoria Newman. And Kane will be furious with Phyllis Summers. Y&R spoilers tease Michael will call Lauren and leave her a message. He'll say he's had a job offer and wants to discuss it with her. Then Phyllis will appear and ask Michael who his new boss is. "I'm happy to see you haven't lost your talent for eavesdropping," he'll quip. But Phyllis won't let up. She'll have a number of guesses, but will realize it would have to be something big. "You can keep on asking me questions until the end of time," he'll say. Then Phyllis will realize it's Kane. Michael will say he's tired of playing this game with her. "Kane needs a fixer," she'll say. Michael will remind Phyllis she's been giving him the cold shoulder for months. Phyllis will say he betrayed her by defending Sharon Newman. "She was innocent," he'll reply, but he'll admit he didn't mean to hurt her. "I miss our friendship." So Phyllis will say if he tells her who he's working for, she'll wipe the slate clean. Meanwhile, Adam, Nick, and Victoria will arrive in Victor's office. Nick will ask if they're going to war with Kane. "Or are we already in one?" Adam will add. Victor will tell them Kane's company has developed an AI software that could cause damage on a massive scale. "So how do we stop Kane Ashby?" he'll ask his children. "Because he has to be stopped." Then he'll tell them he found evidence that Kane's father swindled Madame de Leon out of her fortune. Thanks to the information Nick gathered while he was imprisoned, we can use that to paint a pretty awful picture of Kane Ashby. Adam will say if they put the screws to Kane, he'll hand over that AI goldmine. What happens to this all-powerful AI software once Victor Newman gets hold of it? Victoria will ask. Victor will say he has many options. Nick and Victoria will say it sounds unethical. However, before they get a chance to discuss it further, Michael will show up to meet with Victor. After his children leave, Victor will say if he's there to ask for his old job back, he can forget it. "I've already gotten a better offer from Kane Ashby," Michael will reply. Victor will not be surprised. Why else would Kane invite you and Lauren down to Nice? So, Victor will suggest that Michael take the job. "You want me to work for Kane, but I'd really be working for you," Michael will reply. As for Nick, Victoria, and Adam, they'll have a boring argument about the ethical implications of using AI to destroy other companies. "It's going to be up to Pops," Adam will tell them. "Newman will have a huge head start." At the park, Lily Winters will tell Kane his video brought tears to her eyes. She'll admit she saw a flicker of the man she used to love. Kane will ask if their kids have watched it yet. Lily will say she doesn't know. But she'll also remind him he hurt them and her too. Kane will say he's dropped all his Genoa City plans to make it up to them. "Let's not get carried away," she'll reply. "Too much has happened for me to just take you at your word." Lily will wonder if his remorse is another con. She'll say she needs a lot more answers, but from him, not Aristotle Dumas. Finally, before Kane gets a chance to answer, they'll be interrupted by Phyllis. She'll say she's there to discuss new developments at Arabesque. Kane will tell Phyllis he already said it was over, but Phyllis will say she thought it was just delayed. "I think I've seen and heard enough," an angry Lily will tell him. "Lily, I'm sorry. Just give me a moment to get rid of Phyllis," Kane will reply. But Lily will leave, and Kane will ask Phyllis what she thinks she's doing. "You may not think your relationship with Lily is over," she'll reply. But Lily certainly does. Kane will tell Phyllis never to discuss his private life with him again. Do you understand me? Keep reading The Soap Scoop for Young and The Restless Spoilers and News, and make sure to also join our Y&R Facebook group or leave us a reply in our comments section. But if you miss an episode, don't fret. You can watch The Young and the Restless online at cbs.com. Christine Blair has only one wish for her wedding on The Young and the Restless. She's told her soon-to-be stepson, Daniel, to please help keep his mother, Phyllis, from the ceremony. It doesn't take a fortune teller to predict that Phyllis is going to want to cause a scene. Chris objects to any objection Phyllis might make at her wedding to Danny. Even if Daniel uses his influence over his mom, we can see Phyllis showing up anyway. Here are 3 things that Phyllis might end up doing to stop Chris and Danny from retying the knot. Phyllis is smart enough to stick with what works. Chris was headed to the altar with Paul Williams once, and Phyllis mowed the couple down with a rental car. She didn't end up killing them, but the engaged duo checked into the hospital instead of the honeymoon. Phyllis could kill 2 birds with 1 stone if she were to hop back over to Europe to visit Paul Williams. Lying comes easily to Phyllis, so she could simply tell the private eye that Chris wants him back. If Paul believed her, he could come back to interrupt the wedding himself. If Chris needs time to think about Paul's gesture, Danny might turn to Phyllis for comfort. Come on! This move has Phyllis written all over it. To our knowledge, Danny never married again after he and Phyllis split. She, however, has been married to both Jack and Nick in the intervening years. However, what if those other unions were never valid because Phyllis and Danny's original divorce had never been finalized? Oops! Sometimes legal papers aren't filed, or signed, or whatever. Imagine Phyllis walking into the venue that's holding the service for Chris and Danny. An usher asks her, "Do you want to sit on the bride's side or the groom's?" Phyllis's would rhetorically ask. Chris is a lawyer, so she'd likely want to examine Phyllis's documents that she'd claim still tie to her Danny legally. Phyllis may have buried her past with Sharon, at least for now. But she still has venom towards Christine. She vowed she'd be back before she took off for Nice earlier this summer. On Wednesday's episode of The Young and the Restless, Kyle ran into Audra. While jogging in the park, the two immediately started sniping at each other about their kiss in Nice, France. Before he broke away from the argument, he warned her that if she didn't stay away from him and Claire, he would run her out of Genoa City. She told him she wasn't going anywhere. Kyle was heartbroken this week on The Young and the Restless when Claire left in the middle of their dinner without accepting the engagement ring he offered her. She needed time to deal with the fact that he kissed Audra and didn't tell her about it. He realized she was taken aback by the marriage proposal, and she thought he was only asking as a way to smooth things over with her. Jack encouraged him not to give up on Claire. A distraught Kyle concluded the only way he and Claire could be rid of Audra for good was if he ran her out of town. It's perplexing that he thinks he can convince Audra to leave. She may not have Nate anymore, but she still has her friendship with Sally, who offered her a job at Abbott Communications. What could Kyle possibly offer Audra as an incentive to give up that opportunity and leave Genoa City? On Thursday's episode of The Young and the Restless, Audra interrupted Claire and Holden at society while they were drinking Vespers together. A drunken Claire got into a heated argument with Audra and threatened her after Audra brought up Claire's dangerous past. Audra immediately pointed. It would be interesting if Audra went missing and the light of suspicion fell on Claire. It would be a way of showing that Claire still has a little of her Aunt Jordan's evil influence inside her. But we all know Audra is staying put, since she's always great at stirring up trouble, which is exactly what soaps need to keep them going. When Audra was working for Nikki at Newman Media in 24, Nikki offered her the chance to run a division of the company in London, but Audra turned it down, saying she liked living in Genoa City. So, if the wife of the great Victor Newman couldn't entice Audra to leave Genoa City with the fabulous opportunity of a job in London, then what makes Kyle think he can persuade her to leave? But then again, Kyle isn't above using dirty tactics to get what he wants, like the time he was at odds with Jack and his mom, Diane, and he stole a product formula from his own family's company, Jabot, and advertised it. When Kyle is desperate and feels backed into a corner, who knows just what he might do? Watch out, Audra. If he was capable of doing that to his own parents, who knows what he might do to you? Is there an underlying meaning behind Audra's shade? Audra hasn't held back on her feelings about Claire on the young and the restless. She's been calling her Little Miss Innocent a lot more lately, which has us wondering whether she's secretly jealous of her. Claire has everything that Audra wants, a new job in the corporate world, and 2 men after her. On the Thursday, September 4th episode, Claire tossed back drinks as she spoke to Holden about what's been going on in her relationship with Kyle. She also wanted intel on Audra, since she tried to break them up. Claire is aware that Holden and Audra share a past. Audra looked like she was ready to paint the town red. She entered society in a sexy red dress. However, she didn't have a hot date. She was all by herself. Audra noticed that Claire and Holden looked cozy together. Then, she realized that Claire was drunk. Audra remarked that Holden was probably using his Vesper pickup line on Claire. She also assumed that Claire dumped Kyle. Audra wasted no time in mentioning that she ran into Kyle at the park and noticed that he was worked up because of his girlfriend. This led Claire to call Audra a bitch. Yet Holden claimed that Audra was crossing a line. Audra joked about Claire and Holden looking as if they were on a date. Claire asked Audra if she ever got tired of lying. Then, she hit even further by asking where Nate was. Despite wearing red, Audra sure looked and sounded green with envy. Audra said she wasn't fooled by Claire's little innocent act and hoped that Kyle would finally open his eyes about her. Claire warned Audra that she has a crazy side and she should watch her back. Despite her murderous past, Claire was eventually accepted by the Newmans and all of Genoa City, and now she has 2 men on her side. On top of that, she also got promoted at Newman Media. Audra doesn't have any of that. Most people want her to leave town. She lost her deal with Victor, and the men in her life want nothing to do with her. Maybe some part of her is jealous of Claire because she has everything she wants, and then some. The young and the restless star Haley. Aaron is excited to see where Claire's journey will take her now that Holden is in her orbit. Holden and Claire are joining forces. The young and the restless star Haley Aaron couldn't be any more excited to see more of their dynamic play out. She believes that Holden could bring out a new side of Claire that viewers haven't seen yet. Ever since she set foot in Genoa City, Claire experienced her first love with Kyle. She's made some new friends, as well as enemies. One of those friends is Holden, who will defend her against Audra. Will Claire actually cheat on Kyle with Holden? Will the two eventually end up together? In an interview with Soap Opera Digest, Erin teased what fans could expect next with this duo. Obviously, she'll be confused by her feelings for 2 men in her life. This friendship with Holden is something completely different, and I think it's really confusing for Claire because she trusts him for some reason off the bat, because he was really supportive to her when Kyle wasn't there. And she was really lonely and going through something really tough, Erin explained. The two will be bonded by their hatred of Audra, but Claire quickly realizes that Holden isn't what he seems. He has a questionable past with her archenemy. But Claire is very headstrong in her ability to read people, and she feels incredibly justified in her friendship with him, Erin noted. Later in the interview, Erin teased Claire's growth, which will be evidenced on the soap. She's at a crossroads in her relationship with Kyle, especially since Audra tried to break them up. And now she's trusting Holden more than Kyle. I have enjoyed their scenes together from the very beginning when we were getting the Vespers at the GCAC, Erin said. He would be asking her questions, and she'd be kind of like snippy with him almost. Then she added, and then you introduce this other character, and you get to see this kind of more biting side of her. When Claire was treated for being brainwashed by Aunt Jordan, she bought into the toxic positivity. Now, she's becoming more like her real self as she gains her self-confidence. So I think she's kind of been a little bit, maybe more herself around him. It's interesting. I'm really excited to see how it develops, Erin teased. Michelle Stafford might be dateless for this year's Daytime Emmys. Things may be looking grim for Phyllis on September 5th, but her portrayer, Michelle Stafford, is excitedly preparing for this year's Daytime Emmys. The Young and the Restless star is nominated for Outstanding Lead Actress and will be walking the red carpet on October 17th. However, the actress might end up attending the awards ceremony solo. For the upcoming Daytime Emmys, Stafford thought she'd ask her 10-year-old son, Jameson. However, on Instagram, Stafford posted a video asking Jameson if he wanted to be her Emmy date. Hey, Jameson, do you want to go to the Emmys with me? Like that time Natalia went with me, in October. I would get too bored, he responded. You'll get too bored? Stafford asked as Jameson nodded. Jameson's blunt reply left Stafford's fans and co-stars in awe. I agree, Stafford's on-screen son Michael Graziadei wrote. Ha 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 ha, oh. He's keeping it real, Y&R costume designer Mandy Line replied. Until he realizes how fun his mom is and her work friends, Laura Lee Bell responded. Stafford's former Y&R co-star and the bold and the beautiful actor Don Diamont offered to fill in as her date. You still have me, Diamont commented. The comments overwhelmed Stafford. Stafford has made the Daytime Emmys a family affair in recent years. In 2023, her daughter Natalia was her date for the awards ceremony. It was a huge moment for the young girl to walk the red carpet and cheer on her famous mom. While Jameson won't accompany his mom to this year's show, it's still going to be a fun and memorable night for Stafford. The star has the opportunity to score back-to-back victories and go home with her 4th Daytime Emmy. In a town where secrets are currency and power comes with a price, Genoa City has been shaken once again, this time by the unmasking of Audra Charles' deepest family truth. For years, Audra's identity was crafted around her ambition, her ability to manipulate, and her charm. She carved out a reputation as a woman who fought her way from nothing, presenting herself as a self-made survivor who overcame a difficult childhood. But as with most things in Genoa City, the truth proves far more complicated than the image Audra has carefully projected. The revelation begins with whispers of a mystery long buried: the identity of Audra's father. Her story has always been shrouded in tragedy, told as that of a girl orphaned young, hardened by loss, and shaped by resilience. But now, the shadows give way to a name no one expected: Nick Newman. The discovery that Audra is connected by blood to the Newman dynasty doesn't just rewrite her past, it threatens to reshape the entire balance of power in Genoa City. For Audra, the truth arrives like a storm she never saw coming. The resemblance, the instincts, the pull toward the Newman orbit, all of it begins to make sense. A private DNA. The revelation sends shockwaves, not only for Audra, but for the Newmans themselves, a family already defined by betrayals, rivalries, and complicated legacies. Yet biology alone doesn't define family, and Audra's upbringing was far from Newman privilege. While Nick was absent, Tucker McCall stepped into the role of mentor and protector, shaping Audra into the calculating woman she is today. For years, Tucker treated her as a daughter, guiding her through the ruthless games of business and survival. But their relationship was never simple, complicated further by his own demons and the lingering pull of Ashley Abbott. As Tucker's priorities shifted, his presence in Audra's life waned, leaving her to forge her own path in a city where loyalty can vanish overnight. Now, Audra stands at a crossroads. The truth, does she embrace this connection and claim her place among Genoa City's most influential family? Or does she use it as another weapon in her arsenal, a way to tip the scales in her favor while keeping her true loyalties hidden? One thing is certain, Audra's secret changes everything. The Newmans, already fractured, must brace for the fallout of a daughter they never knew existed. And in a city where family ties can be both salvation and destruction, Audra's next move could alter the future of Genoa City forever. The Young and the Restless recap for Friday, September 5th, reveal that Michael Baldwin will consider playing spy games for Victor Newman, while Phyllis Summers ruins Kane Ashby and Lily Winter's progress. At Crimson Lights, Phyllis will eavesdrop on Michael's voicemail to Lauren Fenmore Baldwin about his new job offer, so she'll question him and realize Kane needs a fixer. Michael won't confirm anything, so Phyllis will offer to wipe the slate clean and repair their friendship if he'll confess the Kane details. That'll leave Michael offended, but Phyllis will ultimately push him to accept the job that Kane's offering. In the park, Lily will admit to Kane that she saw a flicker of the man she used to love in the video he made. However, Lily will insist it's going to take a lot more than that for her to trust Kane again. Although Lily will doubt that Kane abandoned his plans and changed overnight, he'll try to convince her that he's moved on from his agenda. If that's the case, Lily will push Kane to be real with her and reveal what he was planning before. When Phyllis pops up, she'll contradict Kane and insist that his plans are simply on hold. Lily will get fed up and walk away, so Kane will blast Phyllis for making Lily. Phyllis will act like Kane needs to let his dream go when it comes to reuniting with Lily, but he'll warn her to never discuss his private life with him ever again. At Newman Enterprises, Victor will give Nick Newman, Adam Newman, and Victoria Newman updates on Kane's AI software and the swindle info that he's using as leverage. Victor will make it clear that he intends to score this AI software, so Victoria and Nick will have concerns about him playing dirty with it. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that there could be an LA murder cover-up, so will Holden Novak and Audra Charles' real secret be revealed? It's clear that something shady went down during Audra and Holden's time together in Los Angeles. Claire Newman suspects it was illegal and is hoping to use whatever damaging intel Holden can offer against Audra. But the problem is, Holden was clearly just as deep in whatever happened as Audra was, since he's been dropping hints about past mistakes. Of course, Y&R fans know the version of the story that Audra gave Nate Hastings. Audra spilled that Holden rescued her from some sleazy music executives, but what exactly did that rescue entail? It's possible that Holden went as far as killing someone who tried to force himself on Audra. Although Holden may have been protecting Audra from a terrible situation, he might have resorted to more drastic measures than necessary to get rid of the threat. If Holden and Audra covered up a fatal outcome, the past could come back to haunt them. Claire's digging could open up a can of worms that creates just as much trouble for Holden as Audra in the end. Y&R viewers will recall some of the comments Audra made about Holden living on the edge and scaring her when There's obviously another side of Holden that fans aren't privy to just yet. What did Holden do to scare Audra? Did Holden lose it over Audra nearly getting violated and freak her out by killing one or more of those execs? Audra and Holden might have covered up a murder together, depending on how all that went down. Young and the Restless see some big things happening for two couples, including Claire Grace Newman and Billy Abbott and their partners. First, I want to talk about Billy and Sally Spectra and a big move he makes this week. Billy, as you know, is a wild card when it comes to relationships. He doesn't have the best track record. Not only does he take risks and gambles wildly, not just with money, but also with love and feelings. But he's also been known to cheat. The larger issue is that he is unreliable, as his exes will tell you. Victoria Newman has been let down by Billy more times. One of the biggest betrayals I can think of was when he slept with Summer Newman while he had been seeing her mom, Phyllis Summers. That happened right before he went off to gambling rehab. What a way to leave Genoa City. To be fair, Billy has also been handed his fair share of heartache by the women in his life, most notably his mother, Jill Abbott. Billy's mommy issues make things very hard in his relationships. If you don't remember, He had just proposed to Phyllis, and they were sitting together at Nick Newman and Sharon Newman's most recent wedding when the bride blew up, and Sharon revealed that Nick and Phyllis had slept together. Billy immediately called off their engagement about 5 minutes after he'd proposed. When he was seeing Chelsea Lawson Newman, about a year ago, she fell back into bed with her ex, Adam Newman, who is Billy's chief nemesis, the worst possible person she could have cheated with. However, I will say that Billy has been a pretty good partner to Sally, and he hasn't really let her down yet like he's done in the past with other relationships. At the same time, Sally has her eyes wide open about Billy. When he wouldn't let up on the idea of pursuing Chancellor, Sally put her foot down and demanded that Billy respect the risk she took by leaving Marchetti. That's when he named Sally the CEO of Abbottcom. This week, Billy makes some sort of commitment to Sally. I don't think it's about business, simply because Billy already named Sally CEO of the company. I get the feeling that what Billy does is more personal and hopefully more romantic. Although Sally and Billy got involved pretty much as a rebound when Adam and Chelsea cheated on them, it's clearly grown into a real relationship with real feelings. I suspect Billy may ask Sally to move in with him, but what I think would be much more romantic, and obviously much more of a commitment, is if Billy proposes to Sally because she has stuck with him through thick and thin. I definitely think she's proved she is a loyal partner. Then again, if Billy asks Sally to marry him, I'm not sure she'd say yes because she may think this is him gambling again. But gambling on love, she may want to take it more slowly. Sally may prefer to move in with Billy and give it a test run before she commits. Either way, there is a really big change coming for Sally and Billy. Speaking of big changes, Claire might be contemplating a major shift in her life. Kyle Abbott messes up so badly by proposing to Claire this week, hot on the heels of confessing that he had been lying to her about Audra Charles. This week, Claire snaps at him and asks, "What's next? A baby?" She feels like things with Kyle are out of control. He's moving way too fast after being dishonest with her. It's important to remember this is Claire's first and only relationship, and she's got some serious emotional issues because she was raised by crazy, vengeful Jordan Howard. Claire already warned Kyle that dishonesty was a trigger for her, but he didn't listen to Claire, and he didn't listen to his parents, Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins. When they said, "Slow your roll," Kyle went ahead and pulled out that big old ring. When Claire asked when he had bought it, Kyle said he did it that same day on Young and the Restless. From Claire's perspective, Kyle got caught in a lie. He'd been kissing another woman. Claire isn't sure whether he intended to cheat or not. Then he ran and bought a ring and proposed. Of course, she's skeptical. Claire walks out on the proposal. Then she runs into Holden Novak, who has a huge crush on her. When he asks what's wrong and encourages Claire to talk to him, she decides she wants to get drunk because she has never been drunk before. Of course, Holden is totally down with that. What I'm wondering is whether Claire may wake up in bed with Holden. That would probably shock Claire, but I know it would thrill Holden because he is head over heels in a big old crush on her. Since Claire has never been drunk, she's probably a real lightweight, and she's been doing all these first-time experiences, you never know. This might be her first experience cheating on a boyfriend. What I think is interesting about this, though, is I actually don't think if she got drunk and slept with Holden, Claire would lie to Kyle about it. If she wakes up with Holden, I think she'll go, "Whoops!" But then she probably won't be a hypocrite, and I think she would come clean to him. This would kind of put Claire on the back foot because Kyle did stop short of sleeping with Audra. But at the same time, Claire doesn't know if he intended to stop or maybe it was happenstance. "Remember," Audra told her, "he kissed me in Paris." What still hasn't come out is the whole truth, because it wasn't just a kiss on Young and the Restless. Audra came to his door scheming right after they found out Damian Kane had died. Kyle answered the door in a towel, presumably wearing nothing else, and then they started making out. They wound up on the bed. He was on top of her in only a towel, and then finally stopped it. But there was full body contact. I think everybody was watching that going, "Whoa, is this going to stop or not?" So if the Claire had a snapshot, we'll see how this week shakes out and whether we have Billy and Sally getting much closer to a happily ever after. And Kyle and Claire getting much further away. It seems like everyone is back exactly to where they started, which means Victor is angry. Victor is always angry whenever everyone doesn't do exactly what he demands, exactly how he demands it. So Victor, like Bugs Bunny, pulls out his catchphrase, "This means war. Everyone, go to the mattresses." Victor is feeling cranky. Readers can see how this fits into the Y&R spoilers for the week of September 5. Victor thought he had Kane where he wanted him when he dug up evidence, indicating Colin had unfairly obtained the money he gave Kane to start his business. Kane confessed as much to Lily, who appeared to agree that this was some evil, shocking, unprecedented thing. The confession ties directly back to Victor's recent blackmail play, which put Kane's family loyalty to the test. So Lily urges Kane to admit as much to the world, and we're left wondering, why would the world care? Phyllis was sure she had everything under control. Kane was about to make her his business partner, and she'd become the most powerful woman in Genoa City, so she was perfectly justified in saying as much and throwing her most recent success in the faces of Billy, Sally, Audra, Diane, and Jack. But she may have spoken too soon. Or will she stay and fight to get what she finally wants? Kyle just vowed to destroy Audra and will come up with a plan to drive her out of town. Interestingly enough, he's not the only one who feels this way. Some residents believe Genoa City is not big enough for Audra and her ego. But is she willing to leave town? Or will she fight for her place to stay on The Young and the Restless? The hits just keep on coming for Audra. She lost a lucrative business that Victor funded. Then, Nate dumped her. And now, Kyle is vowing to go after her. In fact, he wants to drive her out of town, and he's not the only one. Phyllis, Diane, Jack, and many others have wondered why Audra keeps sticking around. Of course, Claire has it out for Audra. She doesn't have many friends other than Sally. However, their friendship isn't as strong as it used to be. Regardless, Sally is the kind of friend that Audra needs, someone who can set the record straight and hold her accountable. Audra doesn't have any other opportunities lined up. Sure, Sally offered her a position, but it's not the kind she wants. Audra wants to run her own company that's franchised by someone else. And without men and opportunities, what else is left for her in Genoa City? Maybe her storyline is over, but not just yet. Kyle told Jack that he would drive Audra out of town. How does he intend to do that? This is where we read between the lines. Kyle told Jack, "If I can drive Audra out of town, maybe she will see how sincere I am." This suggests that Kyle is attracted to Audra and doesn't want to get tempted. He continues to not take any accountability for his actions. Kyle blames everyone else, but himself. He claims that Audra was the one who put the moves on him in Nice, but he knew what he was doing when he opened the door to his cabin in just a towel. Kyle is aware that he could cheat on Claire, so he's driving the temptation out of town. But Audra won't back down without a fight. Some part of her is attracted to Kyle, too, and she'll stay until she gets what she wants out of this. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Noah Newman may discover a horrifying secret and keep quiet to protect his family. Will Noah get some disturbing news and realize someone he loves is in deep trouble? At this point, Mariah Copeland still hasn't come clean to anyone she cares about. Although Mariah is struggling over what she did to the stranger on her business trip, she doesn't want to drag anyone else into her mess. Mariah hasn't confessed to Tessa Porter or even Sharon Newman, who'd normally be her confidant in difficult times. Since Mariah is covering up a crime, she doesn't want Sharon or Tessa tangled up in all this. However, a new key player may enter this Y&R storyline and change everything this fall. Lucas Adams has been cast as the new Noah Newman, so he'll share scenes with Mariah sooner or later. Tessa is Noah's ex, and Mariah is his sister, so he'll have questions about all their romantic issues. Noah won't understand how Mariah and Tessa's marriage fell apart out of the blue, so he'll inevitably grill Mariah about what really happened. Mariah might try to dodge questions as usual, but Noah may be the one person who won't let her get away with that. Noah may keep pushing until Mariah finally cracks under the pressure and spills the whole ugly, smothering story. Will Mariah confess her drunken night and the horror that went down? Noah may find himself reeling if Mariah admits to killing that random man and hiding the truth all this time. Mariah may swear Noah to secrecy and hope she can count on him to keep his mouth shut. Noah could promise he'll protect Mariah and keep their family from blowing up, especially since it'd devastate Sharon if her daughter went to prison. That said, Noah will worry about Mariah and Tessa's own little family with Aria Porter Copeland, since it's crumbled so quickly. Viewers would like to see Claire embrace her birth name, Eve, while Adam goes back down the dark path. The young and the restless could be setting up Claire to leave Kyle and embark on a dark, vengeful path. Maybe she will finally embrace her inner Newman. However, some fans are still waiting for her to team up with the family's dark prince, Adam. Claire turned down Kyle's proposal, which came out of nowhere. She quickly put the pieces together and realized that he got the idea after their fight about Audra. She told him that she would think about it, but she's not in a hurry to settle down. Rather, she wants to relive the moments that she missed out on when she was raised by that Jordan woman. Y&R fans on Reddit are wondering where this storyline will lead her. The original poster suggested, "So my guess is they are setting up Claire leaving Kyle and her becoming a true Newman, wanting to destroy everybody." It seems as if the show is teasing a Claire and Holden coupling, but most fans want Claire to embrace her birth name, Eve, and team up with her uncle Adam, who would be encouraged to go back to his dark ways. It would make sense since Claire is not taking crap from anyone these days, not even her own family. This would make for an intriguing and compelling storyline. One person wrote, "I keep waiting for Claire to start using her birth name and for Adam to revert back to his old ways. Then Adam and Eve can team up to target and destroy all the Newmans." Meanwhile, other fans would like to see the Abbott golden boy embrace his inner bad boy. One person wrote, "Kyle works as a bad boy, which this show rarely allows him to be. Otherwise, he's white bread boring." Someone else teased, "Audra brings out a side of Kyle that no one else can." The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Kane Ashby might be lying. What a surprise, we know. If you recall, he swore that he feared for his life over in Nice, France. Now that he's back in GC, we've heard nothing about this outrageous claim. A man, Chance Chancellor, died because of Kane's fear. Why is no one calling him out on this? Chance was specifically called over to Nice because Kane thought he was going to be murdered. Instead, 3 people died, none of them Kane. Chance died, as did Kane's crazy butler and Damian Kane. 2 men were murdered and a third took his own life. Something is very wrong with this scenario, and yet the citizens have gone on with their lives as if nothing happened. Funerals were held off camera, but there's no way Jill Abbott wouldn't have Kane's head for Chance's murder. At the same time, a 4th victim perished in GC, Cole Howard. On a side note, some fans are worried that the show is purging cast members for big-name additions such as Tamara Braun, Roger Howarth, and Billy Flynn. But that's another story. What fans should be worried about in the present day are glaring inconsistencies with current characters. Is Kane's life in danger now, and was it in Nice? It matters because the rest of Kane's story is a laugh riot. Something has to make sense with this plot, or fans will really revolt. For example, Kane lives on the train tracks, literally in his own caboose. It's supposed to be a status symbol, and yet all it conjures up symbolically is hobos and canned beans. Second, Kane has a master plan to take over the city, and beyond that, who knows what. He's relying on Phyllis Summers to do that, a woman who admittedly has unresolved PTSD and is desperate to get a job, any job. Third, the show has thrown out AI as their weapon of choice, although neither Kane nor Phyllis has any idea what it is. Correction, Phyllis spent a few hours boning up and is now an expert. All she needs is a mustache to twirl. Is Kane's life in danger, or was he pulling a fast one? What are your thoughts on this storyline? Are you enjoying the helter-skelter storytelling, or do you think that Billy Flynn's talent and the fans' time is being wasted?